As far as our mission, I believe the American Steel Coalition Charter says it best. We represent steel suppliers, customers, and concerned citizens who are committed to ensuring a robust steel industry. The coalition brings together members from across the country, ranging from small companies to large steel customers to individuals, who agree that a strong, independent steel industry is vital to our nation's prosperity and national security. We're engaged in a number of key issues impacting our competitiveness, including our national energy policy, regulatory matters, and international trade. Let me start with the fact that the steel production is very energy intensive, requiring significant levels of power, electricity, natural gas, coal, and coke. The simple truth is that the steel industry must have access to a steady supply of affordable energy to remain competitive in international markets. Unfortunately, certain U.S. regulatory policies continue to raise energy costs for domestic steel manufacturers and American companies in general. That's because large industrial customers like the steel industry end up footing the bill for the costs that the federal regulations impose on energy producers. That's why Congress must develop a national energy policy that ensures the availability of cost-competitive energy for domestic steelmakers and other manufacturers. That policy must allow the full development of onshore and offshore energy resources to enable companies to maximize productivity, international competitiveness, and preserve valuable American jobs. Congress must also make sure that the federal regulations do not unilaterally raise the cost of domestic energy sources by burdening utilities with regulations, which would raise the cost of electricity and power for large industrial customers, potentially harming the quality and reliability of electricity and supply. This is a critical time for the U.S. steel industry. Foreign competitors, unencumbered by the regulations imposed on American steelmakers and their suppliers, threaten to take an even greater share of the global steel market, as well as jobs, national wealth that steel represents. We cannot afford to let that happen. Congress must work toward a common-sense national energy policy that ensures the economic security of our vital American steel industry and preserves the hard-won gains that steelmakers have made in rebuilding the U.S. economy. Steel and other manufacturing industries are the backbone of our economy, creating good-paying jobs, critical materials for our national defense, and high-value exports. Every direct job in the steel industry generates 7 in other sectors, supporting over 1 million jobs in the overall U.S. economy. Yet, U.S. manufacturers face significant challenges due to a host of factors, including the unfair trading practices of countries that refuse to play by the rules. U.S. steel imports increased significantly in the first half of 2012 compared to the same period in 2011. This import surge is not driven by U.S. demand, as capacity utilization rates in the United States steel industry remain low, at less than 80%. Rather, the import surge is largely a result of government subsidies, irrational capacity expansion, and dumping, in some instances by countries with deteriorating economies that are shipping their excess supply to the U.S. market. The U.S. steel sector can compete against any steel industry in the world, but it cannot compete against governments. If unaddressed, import surges could cost tens of thousands of U.S. jobs throughout the steelmaking supply chain. To prevent such harm to the workers and the overall economy, Congress and the administration should enact more effective trade policies to keep our anti-dumping and countervailing duty laws against unfair trade strong. Strictly enforce trade agreements and trade remedy orders. Use all means to prevent and address unfair trade and injurious surges, including addressing the unfair export subsidy Chinese goods enjoy because of Chinese government currency manipulation. Specific ways that Congress could accomplish this include supporting customs enforcement legislation to address the growing problem of fraudulent schemes exploited by foreign producers in order to circumvent and evade U.S. anti-dumping and countervailing duty orders. Also, legislation to address Chinese currency manipulation. The House of Representatives should pass H.R. 639, the Currency Reform for Fair Trade Act, to give U.S. manufacturers the ability to use the existing countervailing duty law to obtain a remedy for injury caused by goods benefiting from a currency manipulation export subsidy. The Senate passed similar legislation, S. 1619, the Currency Exchange Rate Oversight Act, in October of last year. Passing these two pieces of legislation would go a long way towards leveling the playing field for American manufacturers, combating foreign unfair trade practices, and preserving and strengthening our nation's manufacturing base. Another one of the American Steel Coalition's key objectives is to actively recruit other concerned companies and individuals to join the coalition. There's strength in numbers, and since the steel industry impacts so many jobs in so many different states, we want to broaden our grassroots representation throughout the country. To help support our advocacy efforts, we encourage people to visit our website, theamericansteelcoalition.org. There you can read about our mission, key policy issues of concern to the coalition, and where you can join. There's no cost to join, and we need the strongest voice possible, so I urge anyone considering to join us today.